Hello, Shining Star. Miss Anna here with another sewing project. So this is for the elephant pattern kit. In your bag, you're going to find two pieces of felt, a bigger one and a smaller one, some wool, and a pattern. And I've already cut out my pattern pieces. There should be the elephant body, the tail, and an ear. So you're going to start by cutting out, I would probably start by cutting out the body pieces, and you need to think about where you're placing them on your felt so you have enough. These are all the pieces that we're going to need for our pattern. So I'm just going to lay them out here so you can see what it might look like to place them properly to get enough pieces, or get all your pieces out. And this one can go up here. On your smaller piece, you might want to do your ears. And before you do the ears, you might want to do your belly. So this is how you're going to do the belly. See how this elephant piece has a line here across it? Once you cut out the body, you need two body pieces, but once you cut those two out, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut along that line, and you're going to have this piece. And this flat part needs to go on a fold. So you're going to fold your fabric over, make sure there's enough room so that your legs aren't hanging off, and you're going to pin it in place. And what I like to do with this one is do two pins, one here and one here, because you're not gonna cut here. You're just gonna cut around this part here, and the piece that you'll have looks like this, and that's going to be the belly for your elephant. And then you can go in and do your other two ear pieces. You're going to start, actually, I have one more tip for you. When you're cutting out your tail, do you see how with this pattern piece, I just cut loosely around the bottom there? It's a little tricky to cut out in between those paper pieces, but it's a little bit easier if there's felt underneath it. So I'm going to cut those out together with my felt underneath it. And that way when I unpin it, there's my little elephant tail. And you can take your scissors to it if you don't like the way it turned out. You could make a couple little adjustments. The first thing I want you to do in this project, well, first I'm going to teach you how to separate your thread. You should have a card in your bag. I forgot to mention there's a card in your bag with thread on it. This is a 6-ply embroidery floss. So you're going to cut a section of floss. I like to hold it in my fingers and maybe go to my elbow. And that way it's not too long. It won't get too tangled while you're sewing. Now here's how you're going to separate your floss, because if you don't separate it the right way, it gets tangled and it's frustrating. So once you have your floss clipped, you're going to mess up his hair at the end there. You see how all the threads separated? Now I'm pinching with this hand. I'm going to grab only one thread. Oh, that one wants to come two, but only one. I'm grabbing only one, and I'm going to pull until it comes out. And then my thread will spring back straight again. I'm going to straighten out my thread if it didn't straighten out, and then I'm going to grab the next one and pull it out. Now you can line up those two tiny threads to make a 2-ply embroidery floss. And if you do this, you should have enough thread for your whole elephant. Then you can go ahead and thread your needle. And the first things I want you to sew in this project, I want you to fold the tail in half, like this. And I want you to sew, you don't have to sew this part at the end, but just above it to the end of the tail. And you can do blanket stitch or you can do a running stitch, it's your choice. The other thing I want you to sew first, I want you to sew the ears together. So you're going to have a light and a dark felt piece, and make sure, set them both out before you begin, because your ears are going to be on opposite sides of your head, and if you sew them both the same way, if I were to sew them both, oops, like, do you see how the big part of the ear on both of these is going this way? I would end up with two ears facing the same direction. So what I want you to do is lay them out so they're opposite. So now you see how this hump is, they're facing each other for both the ears. So you're going to stitch your front to your back piece. Just do blanket stitch around the edge, no stuffing, just makes them a little thicker. And once you've cut out your pattern pieces and you've sewn your tail and your ears, come on back.